morning, everybody. Welcome to the 12th Immature Hour podcast. My name is Eric.
Yeah, I'm Alex.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Craig.
And Craig is our special guest this week for our podcast.
I would say this is guest number 2 for this week that we've had for something.
Yeah, right?
You're welcome.
Like we're like popular or something. It's fucking weird.
I want to say words to you, but I'm gonna be nice.
But no, we have Craig on the podcast this week. Craig is the host of his YouTube channel, Whoevenami. Craig, tell us a little bit about that channel.
Sure. So, it's called Whoevenami, and I talk about emotional health and self-care and topics that go around that, and self-awareness, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you may be asking yourselves at home, why is Craig on the show about video games? Let me tell you, audience. So this week we thought it'd be really interesting to have an in-depth discussion about...
Hello, dictionary.com. We have a new word for you.
Discussion. Yeah, so we thought it'd be really interesting to talk to you guys about how video games can negatively or maybe even positively impact people as a whole. Especially like when it boils down to like violence in video games. That's a big topic that's been going around for years, is whether or not games like GTA or Doom.
I was about to say, I feel like that the spawn of that conversation, or the biggest crescendo of that conversation started happening whenever Grand Theft Auto 3 came out for the PlayStation 2. That was whenever the conversation became the loudest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I distinctly remember that. I remember that was who was the fucking talk show host that was video games cause people to be violent.
Was it a talk show host or was it some sort of government official?
I don't remember. It was something like that. Some big honcho dude. Yeah,
That's probably 1 million moms.
yeah. That's actually who Trump is. He's 1 million moms conglomerated into a Cheeto.
Aw, that's
into a
too
Cheeto.
true.
I think it all started around the time that Mortal Kombat came out. Mortal Kombat was basically the game that started
The first time we saw
system.
blood on screen.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat was the reason why they created the ESRB rating system.
Exactly.
I believe that's actually.
Between Mortal Kombat and Doom, because both of those came out around the same time.
And then Duke Nukem was also a relatively early adopter of that as well.
Right. Just the manliest man.
Just hail to the king, baby.
Fucking all the bitches and killing all the zombies.
Are you a bad enough dude to save the president?
But now, when I was growing up, my parents were very strict about what games I played. I remember we would go to my local video store, and I would go to pick out a game. Well, I'd be like, no, you can't get that, because it was rated T, and I was 8 years old. Yeah. And I'm trying to think, if my parents hadn't done that, would that have impacted me in a different way? Say, I was 10 years old and my mom was like, here you go, here's GTA 4. Would that have impacted me in a negative manner?
Can I add to that coin? I was one of the people that my parents didn't give shit what I played.
Same here.
Okay, perfect.
I got the PlayStation 2, that was 2001. So I was probably 12, maybe.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay.
I don't know how old. I think I was between the ages of 10 and 12 when I got a PlayStation 2, and the first game I got on the PlayStation 2 was Grand Theft Auto 3. I never even played a Grand Theft Auto. I had no idea what it was.
You're right.
But
Yeah.
I might have checked it out from Blockbuster, and then my parents ended up buying it for me. But I was able to play. I played Mortal Kombat when I was 8 or 9.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was one of the first games I've ever owned.
The catch with Mortal Kombat was my mom would let me play it, but only if the blood was turned off.
Oh, yeah. The blood.
Yeah.
And then Duke Nukem Time to Kill on the original PlayStation was a game I spent a lot of time playing.
Yeah.
It's my parents were never really limiting on the games I could play.
They were it was a case by case basis kind of thing.
Something vibrant, bitch.
Or I could play shooter games if I was shooting aliens. That's why I ended up liking Halo.
Yeah.
Because Halo is my way to play that kind of
Right.
stuff. And, you
Right.
know, my parents are cool with it.
Unless you're playing multiplayer and you're fighting other Spartans, but it's whatever. Parents don't need to know that.
Yeah, they didn't know that. I'll never forget, like, being 16 and getting GTA for the first time. Like, I got GTA 4 when I was 16 for my birthday. And I remember, like, opening the wrapping and then, like, seeing GTA 4 on the cover, like, the M rating and stuff. And I looked at my dad and I was like, do you know what you bought? And that was my reaction. And he's like, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
On a similar note as that as well, I remember Grand Theft Auto 4 came out on my 17th birthday because it was the first
Nice.
M-rated game I was able to buy legally on my own.
Oh, yeah.
I picked it up at Walmart, and the guy who was working the register was actually somebody I knew. He actually graduated with my sister, and he was like, "Can I see your ID?" And I showed him, and I was like, "Yep, I'm old enough to date." And I bought that bitch. And I walked out there and started shooting all the hookers.
That's what you do.
That's true.
So growing up, my parents didn't really care either. They were just like, it's video games, whatever. You're smart enough to know the difference, right? Right. Okay, whatever. But I never owned GTA. I had my best friend at the time, David. His parents were just like, oh, you want GTA? Okay, whatever. I don't care. You're smart enough. You know the difference. So I never actually owned it. But because of him and his parents, so I guess I was affected by proxy. Like I was able to play it at a friend's house, and I would just go over to his house just to play GTA Vice City.
Vice City was so good.
Wasn't it?
Good.
That's kind of the same
motorcycles?
situation for me. My parents didn't care, so like I got to play whatever I wanted to. There's literally no supervision at all.
Yeah.
And then, but I didn't own it, but I played it at a friend's house, and mostly actually just watched him play it because, and this is kind of interesting, it's not my kind of game. Like I'm very averse to violence, and so I liked facets of Grand Theft Auto. I liked that it was a sandbox. I liked that you could drive around and do things. And some of the like battling with the enemies was fine, but as far as the freedom to kill a hooker, my ethical brain was like, no, that's wrong.
Bad.
And so like I'm incapable of having fun doing that. So yeah.
I think that's really interesting though, because it's not very often you hear people like, oh, I don't want to kill this video game character because it's ethically wrong.
There's something wrong with me.
I would never say that. I would never say that. I think it's genuinely interesting. That's because you're an asshole.
If I was in a game where like I had to kill this like innocent person, like just turn off the system. Like you can't play it.
Done.
Yeah.
Like my wife Caitlin kind of has like a few like weird things like that where she's like, I don't want to kill this person. I'm like, it's a video game. Just kill the person. She's like, no.
Well, it's like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. No Russian.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like that. So I don't know if you've played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but it starts off with a mission called No Russian.
Okay.
Where you are infiltrating some sort of...
It's an airport, isn't
you
it?
go in an airport.
right, but you're part of a gang or something. Like you're infiltrating a gang.
Okay.
And so you go into an airport with the gang, and you literally just mow down people.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
pedestrians, like just
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
terrorize the
Yeah.
airport.
Yeah.
Even like still today, like that is
One of the
very
most controversial things that's happened.
Yeah.
In
Sure.
the
Yeah, I mean that sounds traumatizing. Like I'd probably be traumatized
And that's what they
by that.
opened the game with.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, wham!
Like I remember there was a huge debacle whenever the game came out because like that was such a big thing because that was like still in the prime of the whole like terrorist thing.
Well, I think the thing that was so controversial about it was the fact that say you're playing GTA. Obviously we're gonna make references to this a lot because that's like one of the higher
Yeah.
That's
as far as like maturity goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you look at GTA, typically it is up to you as the player to kill innocent bystanders if you want. If you want to shoot a random person drinking a coffee, like you can. In that, like you had no choice.
It was part of the gameplay was
like,
doing
also
the bad
like
thing.
you can not shoot anyone if you want, but you're still walking around with
Watching.
your gang watching people just get mowed down.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they ended up adding they ended up update to where you can actually bypass that scene.
Yeah, they
because
can
of
skip
the
it if you
outcry
want.
Yeah.
about it.
Well, there was like it was really bad because I think one of the reasons there was a big outcry is because I think some military people got their hands on the game like overseas and were playing it, and like that was like it caused like a form of PTSD for them because like there was like flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be pretty severe, like, which to me is like I know that like it bounces between Infinityware and Activision and who actually makes the Call of Duty games. I don't remember which one it was, but I think it might have been Infinityware. Like, I don't know what they were thinking to add something like that in a game. Like, yes, I get it. It's a fucking video game. Like, it's not real. But, like I feel like that at some point you cross a line. Like, me saying this as a person who crosses the line quite a bit. Like, I feel like that you cross a line. So, like, there's a line that's drawn, and once you cross it, like, you get into, like, territory that shouldn't exist. And I feel like that's one of those things. Like, I feel like the other line that shouldn't be crossed is, like, you're forced to rape somebody in a video game.
Well, and I mean, the thing is it's still a form of entertainment. So, yes, it's not real, but I don't want to watch a movie about a sympathetic pedophile. You know, like, it's an ethical territory that then becomes challenging on a level that I'm here for entertainment. I came here to have some fun, and you're pushing me to places that I don't really want to exist in right now. That's kind of how I feel with that.
I'm about to do a really weird segue, but have you played Evangeline, made by a local game developer called Raconteur?
I just recently, I was watching it. I didn't have time because I was flying, but I saw some of the video that you guys did with him. It looks really cool.
You would really enjoy it. I think you would enjoy it a lot. The message that was portrayed by the game, it was a very, very simple game, as most indie games are. But like the ending message for the game was very, very powerful, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
After I finished watching the video of you guys playing it, I immediately called my grandfather.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, hey, Paul, how are you? I miss you. I'm sorry I don't see you anymore.
But that means it worked. If you told Nick that, Nick would love.
I did. I called Nick.
Yeah.
Like, before I called my grandfather, I called Nick, and I was like, God damn it, Nick. Why do you make me do this?
You're making me feel my own feelings.
What is this game?
He's supposed to be dead and cold inside.
That's true. Have you seen Ben? He's dead and cold on the outside, too.
Oh.
I'm just dead.
That's true.
Why do you think we do the podcast without video?
We're going to start calling you Edward Cullen.
No! Stop that!
Sparkle Force.
Professor Sparkle Farts? Why are you letting him name everything? Have you guys seen Bravest Warriors?
No.
Oh, fix your life. Do it. Do yourself a favor and go watch Bravest Warriors. It's so good.
Oh, God.
There's like maybe 10 episodes. They're like 10 minutes apiece.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
I can fucking browse through that.
Yes. Your life will be better, I promise.
So,
Okay.
one thing that I noticed was, well, not noticed, but there was a case where these two sisters killed their brother. They stabbed him a bunch of times because they were trying to appease.
Oh, is it
Slender
Man?
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Wow, I didn't hear
it's
about
an
this. It's not the same story that I know.
This was a few years ago.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I don't know the full details of the situation. All I know is that these two sisters...
they were convinced that they were Slender Man's proxy, basically, and that Slender Man wanted them to kill this little boy.
Now, is that a construct of them just being crazy, or is that the game?
I've heard of this, but I need a little backstory.
Oh, yeah.
I know that Slender Man it kind of caught fire through Tumblr. I feel like it's part of the Tumblr universe.
Do you want me? I know a lot about this.
Yeah, because I actually really want to know like where it came from, like how is it getting spread?
Creepypasta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, are you familiar with the term creepypasta?
No.
Basically, what creepypasta is it's a small internet conglomerate.
Okay.
Where people will go and they come up with these like very like in-depth like horror myths and horror stories. And that's where Slenderman started.
Okay.
Slenderman started as a creepypasta. Somebody came up with this idea of this very tall, gangly creature, this otherworld creature that wears a suit with no face that that basically collects the souls of children.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And throughout the Slenderman, like I know a lot about the Slenderman mythos because there's a few YouTube channels that I watch, which I highly recommend, by the way. They are.
It's like Tourette'sy about that, right? Which I highly recommend. Sorry.
It's a little caveat.
It's true. They're really good. They're very like Blair Witch Project style things where it's like found camera footage. There's 3 of them specifically. There's 12 Tribes, Everyman Hybrid, and Marble Hornets. I never watched 12 Tribes, but Everyman Hybrid and Marble Hornets are really good, and they kind of go in depth of like the Slenderman mythos and like the whole mythology behind him. But basically, it's like the idea is that the Slenderman he stalks its prey basically, and he tries to basically take their soul or take them for him and turn them into what they call his proxy. Because the Slender Man can't physically interact with people. He only affects them psychologically. Okay. He has to basically convert a person to become what they call his proxy. It's a physical entity that can actually do his bidding on the earth, kind of thing.
Sure.
And so I think that's where like this kind of came from, is like the two girls I think became convinced that they were the Slender Man's proxy and had to do this on behalf of the Slender Man.
So when people are doing this, like with these girls, are they just reading the stories and then their imagination takes off? Or are there people who are interacting with them via the internet?
It might be a little bit of both. Like,
because like that's what I'm concerned
knows.
Like that's technically murder. If someone's telling these girls you're the proxy of Slenderman, you need to murder somebody. You know, like
oh yeah,
that's psychological manipulation.
Well, I think there's two sides of that too. Because like one, that's psychological manipulation on that side, but the other side is that if they interpreted it to where they think that they're the proxy, that means that they themselves are just psychologically unstable, and so that makes them have a very strong psychosis in a way, a psychopath.
Yeah.
So it's like I think at the end of that day, like that is more of a psychology thing that has nothing to do with the video game, because I feel like everybody, like this kind of goes into the grander theme of the video game thing we're talking about, but like everybody is susceptible or unsusceptible to specific things that goes with our psychosis and our psychology. And how we interpret things has nothing to do with the media that we consume. It has to do with the way that your brain physically interprets the information. Because like for instance, so I'm gonna use this as an example. I watch a fuck ton of Criminal Minds.
Okay.
Which is a great example of like this kind of situation. And so like I watch Criminal Minds and I see people getting killed and raped and all kinds of shit on this show all the time. But I don't look at it interpretive like, oh, that's something I want to do. I look at it like, man, that's horrible. Other people might watch it and say, that looks fun, I want to try that. And that talks specifically to their level of psychosis.
So you were mentioning how the Slender Man thing might not tie into video games. I have one that will tie into video games. A story I heard back whenever I was in high school about this kid who got grounded by his parents. His parents took away his Xbox, his original Xbox with Halo and all that good stuff. He ended up killing his parents, believing that they were going to respawn.
Oh.
Because he's played that much Halo.
Wow.
Man.
How old is this kid?
Middle school era. Middle school age.
I mean, like, did he have a handgun at home or something?
I think he grabbed one of his father's.
Fuck you, noobs.
Wow. I shouldn't be laughing at that. But, so, like, his reasoning, though, whenever the cops asked, like, why'd you do that? And he was like, I thought they were going to respawn in 15 seconds.
God.
But also,
how old
like,
was this kid?
I hear that, but...
Sometime in middle school.
So this is my little story.
Okay.
When I was, like, 10 years old or something, old enough to have agency, I had a rock, and I was like, I'm going to... And looking back at it, I convinced myself afterwards that the story I told my parents was true, but I'm pretty sure I just wanted to see if I could break the window of my mom's car. So, like, I threw a rock at her minivan, and I broke the window. And when they came out, I told them, I was like, I wanted to see if I could make it over the car. So, like, I had created this lie. Like, I wasn't doing something bad happened with the thing that I was doing. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I was curious if I was strong enough to break the glass. And, like, it wasn't malicious. It was just, like, that type of thing. So, like... He may have just been angry with his parents and made up the story afterwards.
It's possible.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, like, I feel like pretty much the theme of everything we're going to be talking about over the next, like, 30, 45 minutes is going to be all the same. Like, I feel like that's actually something we should just get out of the way. Like, I guess as we continue, what are each of you guys' individual opinions on this topic? Like, does video games create violence, or is it more of a personal psychology?
I think it's more of a personal psychology.
I think probably a lot of us agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely my point of view.
I mean,
then I'm going to argue against you.
So, yeah,
well, I think that's the argument against it, is like, if video games cause violence, then with so many gamers out in the world, like the fucking the PlayStation 2 sold like 120 something million units.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good point yesterday whenever you said it about like. Crap, how did you word it? You said something about, like, with as many gamers as they have.
Oh, yeah. So I can... So we were talking about this, and I was like, I've been trying to sit and think with this a little bit because I knew we were going to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And I sort of look at it in the context of there are a lot of video gamers, and if we were looking at it and there were 95% of us that were expressing violent behavior post gaming, then that's something that we say this is affecting human beings. But if you're looking at it and you're like, there's some outliers here who are being negatively affected, is like they're predisposed to this.
Exactly.
They're being, the stimulus is coming in and they're getting triggered, and that has to do with that person.
Triggered. I was waiting. Sorry. I'm sorry. Continue.
It was gonna happen.
You said the magic word of the day.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
And it kind of pushes them, because the really thing is that it's a first spark of curiosity, and then that person goes off and explores that on their own.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the vehicle's fault. That's not gaming's fault. I think that's just something that's wrong with the person, or I don't know, wrong. Not to make judgments on it, but
You don't blame alcohol for drunk driving.
Yeah.
You blame the person.
You blame the person
Exactly.
driving.
Yeah.
No, it's very true.
So why are people quick to blame it on video games when it happens?
Ignorance.
No, it's, to be honest, I think it's because it's sociopaths, psychopaths, that kind of like psychology where somebody mentally has something like wrong with them. There's some kind of mentally deficit like faculties going on in their brain that causes them to think or do in a socially unacceptable manner. It's very hard to explain that because there's no direct science to what exactly causes it. There's a lot of theories, but I think in a way it's something physical that people can blame for something that they can't explain. It's kind of the same reason with why why there's such a big like outcry against like allowing gay marriage and things like that. It's like like you don't understand it, so you're afraid of it and you want to find something to blame it on.
I think there's also a big part of our society that's really unwilling to admit that we're different. There, like if you want to talk about archetypes, we have warriors, we have doctors. There are people built for different things, and so we're not catering to that. We're not aware of it, and we're not building a systematic environment to help these people. And so when we have the outliers, the people who are really built to be able to do hard things, the ones that used to go kill other tribes and stuff, that part of our DNA is still there. So there are people who still built for that type of thing.
Yeah, and
but we don't have anything in our society to like an outlet for that.
Yeah, I mean, because really the only outlet for that is the military.
Right.
Like that's it. I mean, that being said, there are starting to become more things like you have now MMA fighting, you have like boxing, so it's starting to become more prevalent to be able to be a part of that, like that I guess.
But it's still glorified. It's sacred. It's something that's a sport that's on TV. Like that's not growing up. I wasn't even. I mean, times are different now, but.
You make it sound like you're like 45.
No,
yeah,
but
back
it's
in my day, Xbox cost a nickel.
Well, I mean, I was born before the internet, so the actual immersive immediacy and knowing that things are out there, and plus, I mean, we're in Louisiana, so we didn't have access to a lot of stuff.
Good old Bible Belt.
Right. So there are a lot of people that don't grow up with like understanding you can do kung fu or something physical, or it's as an expression for that. I'm not an aggressive person, but there are aggressive people, and they need an outlet.
Yeah, which that itself isn't inherently bad. I think, like, to me, like, that brings up a really interesting topic of, like, that's kind of, I think, why Fight Club was a very relevant movie or book at its time, because it kind of touches on that kind of subject. It's, like, these everyman people that just, like, wanted to be able to beat the shit out of things. Yeah. And it was an outlet. But it was just an outlet for their aggressive nature, but they didn't have a means to go about and be, like, aggressive professionally, like MMA fighters or boxers or wrestlers, things like that.
Right.
It's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Do you find that violent video games are a good outlet for that kind of thing?
I think yes and no. Like, obviously, this whole subject matter is based on, like, the psychology of individual people. So it's like, you can never really tell based on each individual person, because each individual person's psychosis is going to be determined based on the discourse of their life, like their genetics, their environment, things like that. So every single person is different in that respect. But it kind of goes with what Craig was saying, and like, not everybody has access to these. Like, if you're like that warrior archetype, like you're more aggressive in nature and you don't have an outlet, I feel like that playing games like fucking, I don't know, Splatterhouse, where it's just like raw gore. Like, I feel like that could be an outlet, but the difference is that as long as you have the mental faculties to be able to separate reality from fiction.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I would, and I don't have any like personal experience with anyone, so it's all about stereotypes and like what I've seen in media. But you worry about it just like activating aggression in somebody, and then them not having an actual outlet because it's a physical thing. You know, video games is very mental. It's something that we're doing with our mind.
Right.
So if you're sitting there kind of in a passive state, getting yourself very aggressive, then when you move into your life, if that energy's still in your body, I would have some worry that you would not know how to express that if you don't have a good outlet.
So we talked a lot about nature affecting people and things like that. What about nurture? What about upbringing?
Yeah, so like people...
And I have opinions.
Oh, well, we're
Let's
waiting.
hear 'em. Go for it.
We're waiting.
He also have kolaches.
Yeah. I'm severely disappointed now.
I told you I got kolaches.
Fuck you.
Dude, they're fucking kolaches.
Yeah. So, sausage and cheese.
Some kakrachis.
Kokrachis. Man, this is going to like blow your microphone up.
That's okay. That's okay.
Continue.
So I mean, like I said, I am a passive expert based on psychology now because I watch so much Criminal Minds. but it's like nurture has a lot to do with it because
It's like you have a Google PhD, like one of those moms, like autism's bad, or vaccines cause autism.
dude, no.
Vaccines cause autism.
Dude, okay, all right.
I read one article on Google. I'm an expert.
You are getting me triggered right now.
Triggered.
I'm about to go ape shit because we had I had regulars at my old Starbucks that they were they didn't have their daughters vaccinated because they were convinced that vaccines caused autism.
Biological
You know
warfare.
that. Like, why do you Starbucks? You know,
Because they were very vocal about that kind of stuff.
People who don't vaccinate their children tell everyone.
It's kind of the same thing
too.
with like vegans. Like, if there's a vegan in the room, you're gonna know.
fucking shut up and give it to yourself. Like nobody
My
cares.
child's not vaccinated, and you can too.
Reverse your vaccines today. Yeah, I think there's a fucking like AA meeting going on outside of that. Like, it looks like they're about to have like, oh no, they're going inside.
They brought it indoors.
So, shit, they see
So,
us.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, I had, I don't want to say regulars, but I had families come in, and the mom was buying the 7-year-old son a GTA game. And it's like, as an employee, I'm required to say, okay, this is rated M for violence, nudity, sexual content,
blah 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 blah. Yeah.
drug use, alcohol use, whatever. And then the parents will be like, oh, they see that all the time anyway. Whatever.
Oh, they see it at home.
Yeah, they see it at home.
Oh, they filmed me and my husband.
Right. So it's not, at that point, you can't say that it's the video game's fault, that it's the upbringing. That the video game, if they're in a culture like that, or in an environment like that, then you can't really blame the video games. There must be other things that are much worse that's happening. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Screw
Well,
you
but
too.
it's also about
I'm
like
outta here.
the conversations you have with the child, because some kids are equipped and understand how to incorporate that stimulus, and like this is not reality. This is something that I'm just
Right.
Yeah.
viewing. So it depends on what kind of conversation those parents were having with that child. Because at 8 years old, I was probably equipped to be able to handle that.
Yeah, I feel like that can be kind of brought back to the whole like Halo Respawn kid. Like, I feel like that if the parents had like discussed with this kid like the facets of like life and death and things like that, then that would have been a very avoidable issue. I feel like that at that point, like nurture is a very big thing, because I mean it's the same concept of whenever, like, if somebody who's abused at home constantly, like if they're molested or if they're beaten physically or emotionally abused, they have a higher likelihood of developing a psychological or sociological disorder just based on their nurture. Same concept is like they can alter how they affect stimulus, or that can alter how stimulus affects them. I mean,
Right.
so I feel like that, like all those things, like your environment, like both your growing up environment where you're born, like all these things create an individual discourse for the individual person
Sure.
that affects how they act and react, and how things act and react in regards to them.
I'm with you. What do you think, Eric?
I agree.
All right, cool.
You pull a John.
Nope, I'm good. I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Nope, that's it. Got nothing to say.
No, I think a lot of this discussion is going to boil down to like we all said, like whether or not those kids can differentiate between reality and the game world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it really just boils down to like it's not the video games that are it's not the video games that are impacting these kids. It's the fact that they can't separate the real from the fake. And as far as like parenting goes, like I feel like parents who don't properly teach their kids the way like life works and stuff. I feel like maybe to an extent that might impact their children, but overall, like if they don't tell their kids about life and death, are they going to start like killing everyone? Like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it really just boils down to the kid's inability to understand the difference. And
It sort of opens up the question and makes me wonder about like how much time is, these kids who are having these extreme issues, how much time are they playing video games? Are they actually spending any portion of their life outdoors playing with their people? Because I feel like that's where you find that balance is understanding. Socializing in your real life. Because I do think that there is a possibility if you spend too much time doing one thing, that becomes what you know. And especially at a young, impressionable age, I could see how that could start to develop weird patterns in their thinking if they're spending 18 hours of their day playing a video game.
Which is impressive because that's most of the day.
I used to be able to. I miss those days.
That's because you are a psychopath.
I know.
That smile says it all.
That maniacal. Wait, what? Maniacal.
Maniacal laugh.
Maniacal. That maniacal laughter.
Because we're animaniacs.
Damn it! You threw me off. But no, I actually miss those days. Like before, I had to get a job. Like still in high school.
what are bills?
Like I had all summer to do whatever the heck I want. Wake up, play video games until 3:00 in the morning, go back to sleep. I miss those days. Those are the good old days.
But I promise you that is probably for the reason of that it was an easier time before you had to worry about so much life. It wasn't about the video games problem. It's just about like how simple that time was.
Yeah.
Because I agree, like I miss the time whenever I didn't have to fucking worry about I have to work this much a week so I can even make my bills or like these things and I have to do all these chores and shit. Like which granted that's the part of being an adult. You have to do those things, but I tell people like whenever I used to be an associate youth pastor. I know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They let you talk to children.
News.
No, they let me like coach children to Jesus. Like let that sink in for you.
Spread the word.
Well, so I used to be.
Over their back.
Oh my god.
Holy crap!
What did you just say?
Yeah.
Nothing.
The devil is inside him.
Yes.
This is actually a exorcism. This is an intervention.
Lay hands.
Ben.
I'll go get the holy water. Oh wait, shit, that's the lube. Damn it.
Oh,
Nothing's
so,
too sacred.
that's a different kind of party.
I used to be very very Christian. And whenever I was an associate youth pastor, like I like having these conversations. I don't even remember where I was going with this now. My brain farted. Sorry.
You're welcome. You brain tooted.
I used to be very Christian.
Well, no, I had a point I was going with because I wasn't gonna bring up the fact that I was an associate youth pastor for no reason. There was a point that I was going somewhere with that, and I don't remember now.
What was your last point, Ben? It was in response.
Man, I don't remember.
Oh, a time when you didn't have to worry about bills, being able to play video games all day.
Yeah.
How was that connected? Shit.
So, okay, while Alex is thinking about that,
It's
let's
gone,
flip
it's
the
fine.
coin. Let's flip the coin. How can video games positively impact children?
A great example would be puzzle games.
Sure.
Any kind of,
Minecraft.
well, Minecraft is great when Minecraft helps
Creativity.
Yeah, kids exercise creativity, which I feel like is a very undermined.
What?
I said Minecraft. I totally meant Minesweeper.
Oh,
You said puzzle games, and I immediately went to Minesweeper.
Minesweeper's not a
Minesweeper.
puzzle game.
I mean, it kind of is.
It's like a.
No.
And
I would just
Fine,
wouldn't call it
Minecraft.
that
Let's
at
talk
all.
Minecraft. That's what I meant.
Greg's not letting you off the hook on that one. Shit.
good. He needs to be called out for his shit.
Fuck you too.
No, like Minecraft is a great example of like I feel like creativity and like the exercising of creativity is something that is severely undermined and its necessity for kids because I feel like creativity is shut up, man.
Minesweeper.
I feel like Minecraft
said
is
undermined.
Yeah. Ha. Fine.
Puns.
Puns. Go ahead.
days.
Continue.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I feel like creativity is something that needs to be exercised more by kids and practiced more because that really that helps kids develop their critical thinking skills.
Yes.
Something that I feel like that is very important, but that is not focused on enough in school. And Craig and I were having a conversation with someone of this earlier about like the fucked up nature of the American school system. That's true.
You know, light chat.
Light chat. Things to talk about over coffee in the morning.
America's fucked,
Right?
and
That's where all the lube went.
it's just yeah, because Trump's just been fucking us.
Oh man.
Damn.
Oh man.
I don't, we,
It's like 7
we don't need
days,
his
8
political
days.
vitriol in the fucking podcast.
Right. Now our comments are gonna blow up. We're gonna go under 100 subscribers.
It's
Can
fine.
they revoke our?
It's called
Channel-
unsubscribing.
Whatever.
The channel
revoke
name.
our
Yeah,
website.
revoke our what, like the www.youtube.com/packedhouse.
Because whenever I created Achievemates back in 2012, they didn't have a limit. You can just create a URL, and I created it, and then eventually they implemented you had to have 100 subs, and we didn't have 100 subs yet, so we were able to keep our URL.
Nice.
Nice.
Grandfathered in.
Yeah, bitch.
How old you must feel.
Yeah.
YouTube and bear.
Yeah, where's
So-
my Metamucil?
So we're talking about puzzle games and that impacting. What about like story-driven games? Like think about.
Oh, let's
Final
look at
Fantasies.
Minesweeper.
I feel like the
There's a
discourse
really
of Minesweeper.
deep backstory
Yeah.
there, okay?
that son with the glasses, like, what is his story?
So this is the story to Minesweeper. It's
The
about
mines
an
represent
army.
a minefield of World War II. Whenever you're walking,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And you played as a bomb sweeper or a minesweeper or whatever, and you had to find all these different mines and clear them out before the army went through. And if you made a mistake,
you died.
you died. And it was
But
it's
so
a
did
very
everyone else.
and so did everyone else. Like you didn't do your job, you lost the war. Germans win, and Trump can still be in power.
And Hitler takes over the world.
Right.
You know what? It's interesting. Every time someone says Minesweeper, I imagine someone with a broom in a field, just like sweeping.
Sweeping.
Mines, let's go. I gotta clean these up.
Where's that damn bomb?
Bippity boppity boo.
Click, boom, boop. Fuck.
Anyway, okay, so we were talking about that. What about story-driven games? Like, let's take Final Fantasy series, right? It's kind of
I'm out of that conversation already.
fuck. Okay, let's take the Witcher series.
No.
I mean,
You can go. You can go. I mean, I don't have to be a part of all conversations.
Final Fantasy, you're gonna find a way.
Yeah, you're right.
opinions.
Hey, at least I'm honest. I'm honest, all right? I have opinions. And that's the point of Immature Hour. It's about all of us having opinions.
Yeah, none of them matter.
And none of them matter.
That's
so
our
like-
slogan.
So people read a good book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's take the Lord of the Rings series, right? It's a high fantasy. It's a good book, but it also,
I personally like Playboy, but okay.
I said good books. Hustler.
Jesus.
Anyways,
So, people who are pretty intelligent and that they have a high level of critical thinking actually do read a lot more, yes? Could we agree upon that?
I don't know. I have a pretty
mean-
high level of thinking, and I haven't picked up a book in years. I prefer no, like
I wanted to make a joke, but I'm going to hold back.
yeah, and keep that shit to
I
yourself.
guess I would say it's not necessarily fair to draw that as a direct correlation, but I do think it can be correlated.
I will
Think it
say,
could?
Like, I
not
wouldn't-
everyone who reads. I'll
'Cause-
say not everyone who reads books is intelligent, but everyone who is intelligent. No, okay,
No.
I mean it the other way around. That's what I meant.
So not everyone
Not
who
everyone, yeah. Not everyone who is intelligent reads books, but everyone who reads books is intelligent. Maybe we could say
But
that.
even that's probably not a completely fair.
I suppose.
I would say
so
yes.
that's bullshit.
Typically, you can sort of.
No,
draw a
I spewed bullshit. So whatever.
We know.
I mean that's every podcast.
Yeah.
But
The point I hear you. The
Thank
point
you.
you're trying to get at is perspectives. You read a book and it helps your empathy because you're stepping into someone else's shoes, and it helps you think about their choices and care about them as a person.
and in short, broadens your mind.
Yeah.
It helps you with that. I think a good story-driven game can do the same thing. I can't read books. If I start a paragraph and by the end of the paragraph I forgot what I read. However,
It's a skill.
It's a skill.
You have to practice.
Retaining that shit, yeah.
However, I can listen to an audiobook and retain every word. I can watch a movie and remember everything about it. Video games, same thing. That's how I consume my story.
Yeah,
Whatever the hell.
I've always preferred video games as a format of
Storytelling.
like storytelling, just because like it's more interactive that way.
Yeah.
Like I like the fact that like I'm in control of this person's story, and then that's always appealed to me.
And then especially with lately that they've been introducing options and choice to video games. Let's take the Mass Effect series,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So you can
basically
either
the
you choose to save an entire race or you choose to save one person. You know, you choose, like, you have repercussions for both choices.
choose your own adventure for video games.
Pretty
well,
much,
now
yeah.
they have what was the Let It Rain?
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain.
Dude, Heavy Rain's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, so they have
Yeah.
Heavy Rain, and they had I played a little bit of it. She was a girl who could control time. She could like
Oh, that's
rewind time.
that was Beyond Two Souls, I think. Is that the
Well,
one?
Beyond
doesn't
Two
sound-
Souls was something similar to it, but the one that controls time, what was that?
I think
Quantum
it's I think it's a Squeenix game.
Remember Me.
Yes, that's still the title doesn't sound correct, but I may just not remember the title. In any case, it's a choose your own adventure type of thing, where you're exploring your environment, and the development of the story is based on what you choose and like who you want to save and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's much more of it. The story is the vehicle of the game rather than story happening on top of it.
Right.
No, but I do like that game.
Remember Me?
well.
Dude, Remember Me was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
grossly underrated too.
Yeah,
I
it's-
enjoyed it so much. I loved your ability to be able to like insert yourself into people's like memories and be able to rewrite their
Oh,
memories.
yeah, that's what it was about. Okay, never mind.
awesome.
And on top of the battle system was awesome.
Dude, I loved it.
It was so cool.
I feel like one of the things that I feel about the game is that the combat system was difficult early on because you didn't unlock a lot of the really good combos. But once
Yeah.
you unlocked them, the combat system was
It
awesome.
was so cool. I really liked that game.
I did too. I enjoyed it a lot.
Forgot what I was talking about.
It's because you a bitch.
I am a bitch. So I think story-driven games help out a lot and whatever. Another thing.
I'll do that.
Okay, fine, that'll work. Another thing is the social aspect of MMOs. I learned a lot of social skills from playing World of Warcraft.
I see. That was one thing that I didn't get to get a hold of until way later. Like I don't think I got Xbox Live until I was, I think maybe like 16 or 17. I joined that bandwagon very late. And then I never played like any kind of like MMOs or whatever. That's also very new to me. So yeah, I don't really. Man, we're really good at like losing track of what the fuck we're saying.
It's early.
Yeah,
It's early.
I guess that's what it is. But I think I was trying to say like, I feel like I know some really awkward people who like get their social skills from World of Warcraft. You
That's
know what I
true.
mean?
Sure.
I don't know if that's a good medium
Yeah,
to
maybe
get
not.
social skills from.
Yeah.
I mean, you turned out okay.
Oh, thanks.
Debatable.
It's the first form of positive feedback that I got all the podcast.
I mean, it's not
You're
our
a serial killer. You're gonna go
Whatever
crazy.
server you were on.
Maniacal
well
laugh.
done. But
maniacal.
You like that, huh?
maniacal. But yeah,
Maniacs. Sorry.
they already.
Craig already sang that.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yes.
Damn.
Birds of a feather.
Okay, so to wrap up the discussion, Video games.
I would say do not have enough negative impact to warrant people going crazy.
That's a very blunt way to put it.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that just like I feel like video games are a tool, but I feel like that it's dependent on each individual person on how that tool is used or interpreted.
Sure.
And I feel like that people are quick to jump at video games as a direct cause for like violence or for like psychopathy and all those things. But I feel like that's all it is. It's a tool. It's just like anything else. Just like a gun is a tool. Just because somebody uses a gun to shoot somebody doesn't necessarily mean that the gun itself is bad.
Guns don't kill people.
Yeah, exactly. The people who use the guns kill people. I think it's kind of a similar concept. Like people can just as easily kill other people with knives or with a fucking piano wire or anything. Like you can kill people with anything. And I feel like that at the same time, it's like anything can be a trigger for somebody to kill somebody else or be violent towards somebody else.
Yeah.
I just feel like because games are inherently interactive in nature, that it's more of a focal point for like those negative connotations and like the causation of those violent acts.
I'm curious if the same people that say that video games create violence, if they also say the same thing about the media or movies or comic books or anything like that.
Well, yeah, that's one of those things where like people, like when you're a kid growing up, like maybe your mom's like, no, turn that movie off. It's scary. You're gonna have nightmares for a week. Like things like that can mess with your brain and impact you in a negative light. And I think that's one of those things that people hold on to is like they think it's like the same kind of thing. Well, like if Timmy plays GTA 5 for too long, he's gonna start killing people. Yeah, it's.
I'm with you.
It's such like a gray area discussion. That's why I wanted to do it today because it's a very fascinating topic, and it's one that we're never gonna fucking hear the end of. People are always gonna be talking about it until some scientist.
Well, it's so hard for us to actually measure how does it really affect the brain.
Exactly, because it's like anything like that is like there's no quantifiable way to actually measure there's no quantifiable way to measure somebody's like psychological levels like those
you
things.
can't read positive brain activity and negative brain activity. Like you can see activity, but you don't know if that's helping or hurting.
Right. I'm with you. He's Slender Man.
Yeah.
But it's daytime. Craig, do you have any thoughts before we round up?
I mean, I guess it's just like they say with most things, it's all things in moderation. It's really just about focusing on making sure you're doing what's best for you. And if you notice bad patterns happening, start being honest about that and play a bit less video games or whatever.
Yeah, or play like a lot more My Little
Stop
Pony.
it.
Yeah.
Get help.
Stop.
Chicken McNuggets.
I've been saying that at work and nobody gets me. I'm just like, stop. Get help. And they just look at me like,
I'm sorry. All right, guys. Well, I think this wraps up our podcast today. Thank you, Craig, for joining us
Thanks
today
for
on this
having me.
podcast. Yeah, absolutely. My name is Eric.
my name's Alex.
I'm Ben.
I'm Craig.
And this is the Immature Hour podcast. We'll see you next week. Later.
Bye.
Go fuck yourself.